back again at the 2016 Senior Bowl. You're with big Kyle Murphy. Kyle, just talk to me about you get off the bus and it's like you're thrown into the fire right out the gate. Talk to me about just the whirlwind and what these past 24 hours have been like so far.
It's been a little hectic.
Yeah.
With all the interviews and talking to scouts, and we got bigger meetings tonight with more people. And it was kind of crazy to kind of just go over a bunch of non-football stuff. Everyone was kind of itching to get out there and really go do what we came here to do and play football, because it's been a few weeks for pretty much everybody.
Right.
So it was fun today to get out there and compete with our teammates and kind of get a feel for everyone and learn from the Cowboys coaching staff. So that's been fun. It's a long process, but that's what we came down here for.
Starting to get acclimated a little bit. You get to hear the pads pop finally. You talked about Dallas coaching staff. Talk to me about Jason Garrett and his coaching staff. And just after one day, your early impressions of what you think they can help you with this week.
Yeah, so they're all really intense guys. Working with Coach Pollock and his assistant, Coach Colombo, on the offensive line. They're really intense, and they're all about just going there to work. We're not out there not really wasting any time. Just make sure everything's crisp. The details are huge for them. So working today, we can already feel getting better. I know everyone's taking the coaching great for them.
No doubt. I got to think, given how little time you guys get really to hit the playbook and get acclimated, I got to think the technique and the little things, the fundamentals, are going to be so important this week for not only you, but to show scouts and coaches that.
Yeah, certainly. Everyone wouldn't be here if they didn't have talent, hard work, and even the fundamentals down. But at this level, once you start playing against guys of NFL caliber, and going to transitioning to the next level, the details and the technique are really where it's all at, and that's kind of what I've gotten from my friends in the NFL, particularly on the offensive line. That the crucialness is in the details. So.
No doubt. I again, going into this week, you talk about the details, the just paying attention to the little stuff. Was there one thing specifically though that maybe you wanted to highlight or just show scouts that, hey, maybe there's rumors I can't do this. Guess what, I can.
Yeah, I think I'm labeled as kind of a athletic tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of just trying to show my physicality and nastiness in both the run game and pass game. Staying on my blocks, finishing, in pass pro, make sure I'm doing good with my hands, being violent, sitting down when guys are trying to be a little powerful. So just trying to show that other side of me that, maybe people don't.
Again, you got to hear the pads pop. You got to get a little violent today. Was there one or two guys that are starting, even just after one practice, starting to stand out a little bit for you as far as your teammates go, that these guys are competitors and these guys are good football players?
Are you talking about just on the...
Yeah, I know you're just going against your peers today.
Yeah, you talking about like just the defensive lineman?
Yeah, defense. I know you're going against this. Even some of the offensive line guys today. Is there any one or two guys that are starting to stick out to say that this guy's pretty good? Yeah,
I had a couple reps against Carl Nassib from DN from Penn State. He got me in one-on-ones. I ended up reaching a little bit, not being as patient with my punch as I wanted to. But I went against him a few times in the team drills, and it's he's a longer guy, but he's got some he's got a little stout power in them. And then guys like Sheldon Day, Adolphus Washington, they're more inside guys, but I had some combination blocks on them. They all got really impressive get-offs.
For sure. You talk about Nassib. You don't become the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year by accident. So don't eat at yourself for that one. I'm sure you'll rebound just fine throughout this week. You talk to your friends, you mentioned about just the things that maybe you want to work on or get better at. How about your big bro? Kev, is it something that, you obviously have seeked him out and maybe asked him what the process has been like?
Yeah, definitely. He had a different journey, coming from Harvard, and it's obviously harder to come from a smaller school like that. I know we have a tackle from Harvard actually, so kind of talking about him a little bit. Yeah. So he was saying he was like the guy that was there when he was getting recruited.
So they played together, Toner and your.
They did not.
Okay.
So he's a migrant, so he's a senior. So my brother. So he was a senior when we were seniors in high school. So he was kind of the guy when he was getting recruited. But yeah, Kevin, he's giving me some good insight just kind of on the business of the NFL as a whole, and just kind of how you have to be a pro, to make it and to continually improve and progress and just be a player in this league, and how important work ethic and again the details are.
And I actually, from Minnesota, I got to see him at training camp up in Mankato a little bit. And again, a little bit different journey, but just getting that insight and background from him. Do you think that made you a little bit more comfortable and confident coming in, and maybe have a little mental edge or leg up on some of these other guys?
Yeah, I think so. I know whenever you have, friends or particularly family that's been through the process, it definitely helps to kind of, give you the ins and outs of it. He didn't go to the combine. He didn't have the opportunity to go to the Senior Bowl and do that all kind of stuff. But I kind of I don't want to say got a foot in, but he definitely kind of exposed me to it a little bit more than I would have been. Being my big bro, kind of get a little more of an inside picture than most would.
Sometimes there's definitely some sibling rivalries. Maybe sometimes some bros play the same sport, but you guys. Offensive line together, grew up. I know a little bit of age gap, but was there a little bit of competitiveness going on in the household a little bit growing up?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm sure you know how it is with brothers.
Oh yeah.
Always, fighting at it, chomping at the bits, and I was always quite smaller than him, and I was always trying to pick fights with him, but he'd always, beat down on me.
Right.
But I was really fortunate to have him kind of look up to.
Definitely.
It was kind of a little tougher for him because. My dad played in high school, but he wasn't like an NFL or college player, so he was kind of on his own per se to try to, learn everything. And I kind of had him to look up to, kind of ask questions going through high school, college, and now the next step in the NFL. So that's a huge benefit for me. I try to, take that advantage.
No doubt. I got to think almost when looking back again, knowing how much help and how far back it goes. Could you say that you might not be here today if it wasn't for, Big Bros, maybe a little bit of whether it was tutelage one day or whether it was maybe gaining some toughness another day without him?
Yeah, certainly. I think you gotta give credit to the people along the journey that help you. You never get to places on your own. It's rare that you don't get help from large masses of people, and he's definitely been a huge part of that. Just from growing up and. Over the last 5-6 years, kind of really helping. I can always, like this past season, it's hard to get, particular offensive line coaching. So
it is.
Yeah, he's just a year out of the NFL. He has a little more free time than he used to. So I give him my my film account password, and he'd watch my film and give me some pointers and see the notes he saw. So I could get a different set of eyes. That maybe my coaches didn't have time to see or couldn't really pay individual attention to me. So I felt like that helped me a lot, towards I kind of started reaching out to him maybe middle season, and I felt like that really helped my improvement throughout the year.
And again, something that, this guy played the position and was just in there, had a foot in the door. Again, I just think that's got to be a huge advantage, like you said. You mentioned you consider yourself a little bit more of an athletic offensive lineman. We saw you at the measurements today, long arms, good wingspan. The NFL offensive line play this last year as a whole was a little poor, and these edge rushers are getting so dang quick now and good. Do you think you just from a self-evaluation standpoint, are quick enough, if asked, to play on the left side of the offensive line?
Yeah, certainly. That's my goal, to play on the left side without a doubt. I want to be a left tackle. Most guys that play offensive line and tackle in particular that kind of have that competitive mindset, I would say want to play on that side. But that's other than my junior year, I pretty much played left tackle my entire life, and I'm confident in my pass set ability, my quickness. And, if I refine things here and there, my techniques that my coaches give me feedback on I need to work on, I think I'll be perfectly fine to play that position.
You bet. And I'm not going to ask you what teams you've met with, because I'm sure it's a couple handfuls, and then even the ones that you haven't, I'm sure you're going to meet with them anyways. But
certainly.
The ones that you have met with already, have they talked to you about where they best see you right now, whether that's outside of tackle, left tackle, right tackle, or inside? Maybe have they talked to you about that?
Not really. We haven't really gone into particulars like that. I've got a lot of questions about, have I ever played inside? Have I snapped the ball? Gotten that a few times. But my experience inside is, kind of few and far between, just a couple reps in practice here and there, and a snap or two with my buddies on the sideline, kind of just messing around. And
right.
I will say my shotgun snap was kind of on money when I do mess around, but
you're 2 for 2 maybe.
Yeah. Under the pressure, I don't know how I do, but I'm confident that if a team had me play inside, then I could be able to do that. My teammate from last year, Andrew Pete, was a first rounder, and they had a couple of veteran tackles this year, and it wasn't working out, and season started going down, so they kind of plugged him in at guard, see how he was doing, kind of get him ready for the future when one of their tackles was gonna leave, and so even a first rounder who I thought was the best left tackle in the country last year, playing inside at guard, so you got to be ready for anything. And
no doubt, yeah. You talk about Andrews Pete, drafted from the Saints. We had big David Papa Yankee up in Minnesota not long ago.
Yep.
You got Joshua Garnett over here, Mahler in the run game. What is it about Stanford in this Pac-12 that just seems to breed you guys, these offensive linemen? What is it about? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the running scheme? Is it just the offensive playbook? Is it something in the water over there, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, our coaches, recruit great. They don't really follow the stars and rankings as far as guys they offer. A lot of times I think people question maybe guys they take, but they have a really particular formula about toughness and the right kind of mentality of guys that they take. And our coaches do a great job of teaching us technique, and it's pretty well known that we run a ton of different schemes and all that. So I think that prepares us really well. I was joking with Josh earlier. We were installing the plays for last night, and a lot of the plays were drawn up pretty much exactly the same as we did, but just pretty much the terminology and kind of talking the language a little bit different. Some of the techniques that Coach Pollock has us doing is a little bit different, but the schemes as a whole are pretty similar. So I think the coaches do a great job of bringing in the right players and really developing us. And I think the older guys have kind of always passed on knowledge and wisdom to the younger guys, and it's kind of just continued and grown over the last 6 or 7 years.
Just kind of people taking the young guys under their wing and people helping.
Yeah, pretty much like guys you said, David Yankee, Cameron Fleming, Andrews P, and then we kind of grew into that role this past couple of years and kind of passing on to some younger guys. So we'll kind of see how the guys develop.
So knowing that and knowing what you know about the roster, give me one guy that guys should look out for coming up in the ranks for the Stanford offensive line. One guy who's maybe the up-and-comer that maybe I'll be seeing here someday.
That's still at Stanford?
Yeah.
I would say, Casey Tucker, who was the right tackle this year, true sophomore. Played a little bit as a freshman, not a ton, got a little bit of experience, and he had his ups and downs this year, a couple, but it's understandable. He was the only new starter we had. Like, he's a real strong, kind of beefy kid, and just loves football, loves studying the game. He would always reach out to me, try to watch guys like Joe Thomas, Joe Staley, Jason Peters, and we try to emulate the techniques they had. So, coming from a young guy who's 19 years old and really reaching out and trying to better himself like that was really promising. Yeah, and just his talent alone. So, I think he's got a promising future if he continues to work like he has.
No doubt. Last few at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama, with offensive tackle Kyle Murphy. You mentioned Joe Thomas. Is there one guy in the NFL that you try to mold your game around?
I wouldn't say one. I like to watch, a plethora of them. Like I said, Joe Staley, Joe Thomas, Jason Peters, just to name a couple. It's still different because everyone has different strengths and different weaknesses. Right. Everyone kind of has, even coming from the stance, you can't really emulate someone per se in every way just the way bodies work, and you kind of got to get your job done how you can best do it. But other guys, Jordan Gross, he played for the Carolina Panthers. He retired a couple years ago, but I had some of his old film I was watching too. I felt like we were pretty similar in bodies. So I feel like it's really, really important to try to take a handful of guys, and particularly guys that you think you can maybe align yourself into your strengths and weaknesses, and kind of see what they do as a strong point. I'm in the same agency as Joe Staley, so he came down and talked to us a little bit this past week, and we kind of picked his brain a little bit, and so that was cool. Obviously I think he's one of the best tackles in the league, and he's one of the more athletic tackles, so I can kind of line myself with him a lot.
You know, from the Joe Staley's all the way up in the ranks, all the way down to college, sounds like the offensive line is kind of like a brotherhood right now. You know, the guys looking out for each other. You're in the NFL. You're playing on Sunday. Okay, you know, who knows where you're going to end up? But let's just say you're starting. You look across you. Have you thought about maybe one guy that you just can't wait to lay that pancake block on Sunday? Who's the guy? And you can't say J.J. Watt.
Okay, you can't say J.J. Watt.
Okay, you can't say J.J. Who's the one guy that you just can't wait to just put on his ass?
I mean, I don't want to call anybody out. I don't want to get a target on my back as a rookie or anything. But, you know, there's so many guys that's doing great things. I think, you know, Aaron Donald from St. Louis Rams.
2 years ago, he was right here.
Yeah, no, he really rose up to the ranks, and just from what I heard, he was unblockable. I know he's an inside guy, but, you know, maybe
could come around on a
stunt. Maybe if I come down on the double team or something, and the guard comes off, I have a good angle on him. So you don't want to call him out, but that'd be a great guy to have success against.
That'd be very cool. Again, you'd know you'd made it. If you put Donald, even if it was maybe he slipped in the maybe he doesn't, maybe he had the quarter.
You got to take all victories. You got to take all victories. Yeah.
Right, no doubt. Well, again, we wish you all the best of luck. You had a good day one today. We hope you carry that momentum not only through the Senior Bowl, through the combine, through the pro days, through the whole rest of the process. We hope you sit back and enjoy this process too. It only happens once, man.
Yeah,
thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, appreciate that, Luke.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. Hopefully.